All right, so today we're going to be talking about Hoyt's brand new bow that they just launched yesterday, January 22nd, the AX-90. So on Hoyt's website, I'm going to read this to you guys. They do have a couple disclaimers. First and foremost, I'm just going to read the overview of what Hoyt has on their webpage. Why shoot 90 pounds? Because you can, and only if you can. This is not for the faint of heart, and you certainly don't have to. But if you are one of the few who can, you'll see significantly more kinetic energy using a heavier arrow, and that heavier arrow will absolutely cut through the wind and penetrate more than a lighter arrow. That said, 90 pounds is a different beast. Please read the notice below and visit your Hoyt dealer for more information to see if the AX-90 is right for you. Now let's go ahead and read this notice, because this notice has got to be the funniest, most gangster thing I think I've ever seen any bow manufacturer come out with, which I think is more than appropriate for this caliber of bow. Notice, this bow is not for everybody. Even with a smooth drawing HBX Gen 4 cam, 90 pounds is no joke. This bow is meant for those who can pull 90 pounds without an issue. If you have any doubt whether or not this bow is for you, it's not. Save your shoulder and check out the new Alpha AX-3, Carbon RX-10 or Enduro and get the bow that is right for you. The main reason that I think Hoyt launched this bow when they did, rather than launching it on November 12th with all the other bows, is because I think there's a lot of guys out there who think, oh man, I'm gonna shoot 90 pounds, I'm big and strong, and they get a 90-pound bow, tear up their shoulder, realize that the 90-pound bow is not necessarily for them. So I think that was pretty smart on Hoyt's part, because obviously all the dudes who are going to get 80-pound bows have already got their 80-pound bows, and then the dudes who have held off, they're going to go ahead and get the 90-pound bows, and the dudes who are equipped to shoot 90 pounds are going to be the ones who are still going to want to buy this bow, even if they've already purchased the AX-333 or 29, whatever they might have went with. But I think that was a smart move on Hoyt's part, just to protect the guys who think they might be able to shoot 90 pounds, but probably shouldn't be shooting 90 pounds. So again, kind of the pioneers who kind of got the ball rolling on these bows, these 90-pound bows, was obviously Cameron Haynes and Josh Bomar, and that's why they have their own signature series of these bows. So they come in every finish that Hoyt sells, all the solids, all the camos, but they do have two special edition ones, the Keep Hammering special edition, that's the Cameron Haynes signature series, as well as the Beast Broadheads Josh Bomar signature series as well. So I think that's pretty cool. The bows look super sweet, and given how the 80-pound bows feel now, I just got a new 80-pound Hoyt and it draws like 70. Compared to my RX-1, it's insane how much smoother it draws, as well as how much easier it feels in the draw cycle, but pulling the same amount of weight. So the new AX-90 is coming in at a pretty hot shooting bow as far as speed goes. IBO speed for this bow is 347 feet per second, and obviously with it being an 80 to 90 pound bow, what they said on their website, how they got that IBO speed was 80 pounds with a 450 grain arrow, and like I said, it's shooting at 347 feet per second. It's coming in at an axle to axle measurement at 32 and 9/16, so a little bit shorter than the AX-333, but still a very good length when it comes to axle to axle, in my opinion. And its mass weight is 4.75 pounds, and it's coming in with a 6.5 inch brace height. Now that's one thing that's really impressive to me about this bow, is all these measurements. All these measurements is going to make for a super forgiving bow. A 6.5 inch brace height is a very forgiving brace height. I think it's going to be super tunable, even with having, you know, the powerhouse that it does with these 90-pound limbs. With that brace height, along with the axle to axle measurement, I think it's going to be a pretty sweet shooting bow. So right out the gate, the AX-90 looks very similar to the AX-333. It has the same new XTS tuning system on the limbs, as well as a riser length being fairly similar. So obviously the AX-90 is coming in with 80 to 90 pound limbs, and the draw lengths that are available for this bow are going to be 26 inches to 31 inches. There's a pretty good span of draw lengths that this is going to be available for guys, which I think is great because it's going to be very versatile, given the draw length options that are available. So just like the AX-3 and the RX-10, this is coming with the HBX Gen 4 cam. cam, which if it's anything like the other HBX series cams that they made, it's going to be super, super smooth. And I don't necessarily think this 90-pound bow is going to feel like 90 pounds, just given the comparisons that I've had with the newer 80-pound bows compared to a bow like my RX-1. That's an 80 pounds, and it feels quite a bit stiffer than some of the new Alpha X series bows in 80 pounds. So what's the price tag on this bow? Just like most bows, they're all pretty expensive anymore these days, but realistically, when you're getting all these technologies and all of these new features, I really don't feel super, super bad about it personally. But having said that, the MSRP on the AX-90 is coming in right at $1,750. On Hoyt's website, they say the suggested MSRP is $1,749, so right around that $1,750 mark. So obviously, aside from just the 90-pound limbs, a lot of guys might think, oh, well, hey, this just looks exactly like the AX-333, but realistically, they did beef up the limb pocket quite a bit as well. So they're running a stainless steel dowel in the limb pocket, along with a titanium limb bolt as well. So over the longevity of having the bow, those are the components that there's going to be a lot of stress on, so they've really beefed those up to be able to handle these 90-pound limbs. So overall, I am super, super excited about this bow. I'm excited to get my hands on one of them. I think that this is going to be revolutionary. This is certainly a game changer for the archery community. You know, Hoyt's always been a pioneer of shooting heavier bows. As long as I've been shooting Hoyt, they've always had the heaviest bows on the market, and everybody else is kind of just catching up with even the 80-pound bows. So I think it's absolutely phenomenal that they're pushing their limits even more with these 90-pound bows, especially a bow that's going to accommodate all sorts of draw lengths. When Josh Bomar had his AX-3 built for him back in 2024, Hoyt had to really accommodate him with the longer draw length, because obviously at a longer draw length, there's a lot more stresses on the cables, a lot more stresses on the limbs, cams, all of the components. They're going to have quite a bit more pressure on them and stress on them and strain as compared to a shorter draw length, just because you're not exerting all of those components quite as much as you would be at a shorter draw length compared to a longer draw length. So I think it's absolutely outstanding that Hoyt did the extra engineering, went the extra mile to make this 90-pound bow for the masses. And like I said, I think it's going to be an absolute game changer, and I'm super, super pumped to see this. But regardless, those are kind of my first looks at it, first impressions. I think it's a great thing. I do foresee a lot of guys thinking they can pull 90 pounds, getting this 90-pound bow, and then realizing that it's not for them. Because again, like Hoyt said in that notice, if you have any doubts about it, it's probably not for you. But for those big boys, those meatheads out there who want to shoot a 90-pound bow, this is a one for you. And I am just so pumped that Hoyt made this. I think it's gonna be an awesome shooting bow, especially given all the specs that it's got. I think it should be very forgiving and super tunable, even with that big powerhouse of the 90-pound limbs. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it, found it informative. If there's any questions that you guys have or your opinions on the bow, leave those in the comments down below. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on the new Hoyt AX-90. But anyways, that's gonna do it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one.